I think that we got ourselves a Phoenix Wright finale. Phoenix Wright Case 5 finale tonight. I don't think I'm muted. Okay, that's good. Joe, how early are you? You missed the stream, but you're here now. You're here for this stream. Dudley, how you doing? Ahoy hoy. Michael the Lucario. I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. I love how she has, like, a side profile. Just, I don't remember anyone else really having a side profile, but she does. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Yeah, so I guess they meddled with evidence, and someone got executed, got death penaltied. Never knew the SL9 incident was just another name for the Joe Dark killings. Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. Lana wanted Dark convicted so badly, that's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me. It's all there in the file. Joe Dark's last victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall. When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence. What did those have to do with those killings, Emma? What'd you have to do with them? On the night Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me. He tried to kill you. Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, he was trying to save me. So that means you? Yes. I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. I didn't see that one coming. No, me neither. Hey, Red Fox. Yeah, the Omega Mart. That's my favorite variety of mart. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day, unusual for the season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her work. Then suddenly, this terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. Seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to make me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, I'll never forget it. Lightning struck, and the lights went out. Hey, Scott, the Omega Mart commercials are great. I don't know if I've ever seen them. A bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it. I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why Lana made up the crime. Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? Prosecutor's office wanted that guilty verdict so badly. Lana forged the evidence and Mr. Edgeworth used it, of course he did. But I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. Hey, Haas, what's happening? You're eating some Mexican food. What kind of Mexican food? Quesadillas? Tacos? Refried beans? There we go. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's when it all started. Rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, I mean. It's all my fault. I could have just testified properly. None of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Lana was never the same. She became cold like she is today. What's this permanent picture burned into your id? Is that her? Like, doesn't look like her. Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed in front of this poor girl. Love refried beans. When I first heard about refried beans, I was like, why would anyone even like that? Until I had them, I'm like, oh, because they're absolutely delicious, that's why. If it's worth frying, they're worth frying again. Anything worth frying is worth frying twice. Am I right? Oh, they're YouTube videos. Okay. Kind of makes me think of SCP or Twilight Zone. Oh, really? Poor Emma. You've been through so much. You're like, what, 15? 16? Just a baby. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come on out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14, that's understandable. Yeah, that's how aging works. Generally. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. Decided that when I grew up, I'd become a scientific investigator. I want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies, and find the evidence to make an airtight case. That way, Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I think I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? Right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by a prosecutor? Oh, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. You mean by the police? Of course. Hey, a guy who likes music and video games. What, it's actually not your birthday today? That's unusual. You tried to run away halfway through the interview, and fled into my sister's office. But why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Excuse me. Because the detective offices and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator. But Lana was the chief prosecutor. No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. She was the best in the whole wide force. I am tired. Like, truth be told, I could have just gone to sleep, and I would have had no problem sleeping, but I'm like, no. I said I'm finishing Phoenix Wright tonight, and by God, I'm doing it. After the Joe Dark case, she was transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective. Better have another talk with her. I'm an attorney! See, this is my attorney's badge. Well, I've never seen a real one before. Let's move. How do you fade in like that? Lana. Mr. Wright, seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence? I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul, why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Yeah, innocent Joe Dark. I get what you're saying, though. Hey, Douglas White. Objection! That's right. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana, Emma told me about you. What Red Fox, were you at school and it was rough today? No, the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on the details? Especially about that unusual change of jobs? Suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which is the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. How you doing there, Lucina King Melee? How goes gaming? So far, not too bad. I know how obsessive Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. Couldn't be helped, Emma. That trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. Well, all drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there's no murder at the police department. Nice shades. Thank you, Haas. I had been wearing, like, my party shirt, but I decided I would still wear the, you know, the brimmed hat and the sunglasses. So I have a ring light right here, and it's probably good if I don't have it, like, 3 feet from my face, shining into my eyes all day long. Then when I'm 40, it's like, why do I have cataracts? Or whatever happens when you look at lights constantly. About you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife. Lana, I don't understand. Why don't you tell us? Emma, this doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so phased before. It's true. Hey, Kodo. Party's over. The party's never over. She was amazing. Is that why you have sunglasses? That's the reason that I'm giving you right now. I may be irritated yet. What happened, Scott? Are you still grinding away at, what are you, level 20... 29 now? They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? He was the deputy chief of police back then, but he still worked the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspire to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now you're chief prosecutor. What happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes, so you could use that experience in court, right? Gant's help in the SL Knott's resolution. After that, he laundry pod. Oh. Well, I hope your clothes are still mostly clean. Hey, Burn. Got my new prescription glasses because my eyes got worse. Well, how are they? How's seeing? 10, I'm gonna go to bed so I don't embarrass myself again. Yeah, whatever you gotta do. If you gotta sleep, then by all means. When the Sandman comes knocking. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Opinion on hot Cheetos? I like them. I prefer jalapeno Cheetos, but I like the flamin' hot ones also. That means the investigation lead was Damon Gant, right? Yep. Chief Gant and I shared the same office with the same investigations. They even had the same office. We led a team of the best detectives on the force. Goodman, whose case it was, Jake Marshall, and Angel Starr. Giving up on that. Okay, I may do it later, but doubt it. Understandable why you might get dejected by that. What's it like having knees that don't hurt every time you walk up one flight of stairs? I don't know. He asked him to come for questioning, but we were desperate for evidence. That was when his final murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Marshall's trying to save me from Dark. Their heart changed because of the more intense lenses, but they're better shape choice. Okay. So they frame your face better. Now you tell us. Gant and Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation was in its final stages, and Dark must have suddenly panicked. So he waited until Gant and Marshall let the guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Deputy Chief Gant and myself. That's where he found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filling some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. Takis are better. Oh, are those like... I've definitely seen them. I don't know if I've had them. When I returned to my office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. 3 bodies. Marshall, the victim Emma who had passed out, and the suspect Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. The hot chips? I don't see Gumshoe anywhere. Is it glitching for anyone else? I assure you it is. Things seem kind of quiet around here today. Why don't we go look for some other people to talk to? Right, we can come back here later. Just playing the hot chips over and over. And over again. Alright, Burnt. Howdy, Bambina. Oh, it's Mr. Marshall. Never thought things would turn out this way when I woke up this morning. Que sera, sera. You never know where life will lead you, eh, Bambina? Should have known my luck had run out when old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance. But we all know I won't be coming back. Sorry, but you can't go in the evidence room today, partner. But Mr. Marshall, why'd you do it? Why do prospectors head west? If ever there was a case I need to know the truth about, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean fishy? High voltage? Are you talking about the WCW tag team high voltage Kodo Daigami? For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean that switchblade knife with the broken tip? That was Joe Duck's, all right. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question. The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance the knife was not the murder weapon. However, in the report that was finally submitted, that possibly had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? That case left behind scars on all of us. Scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just made detective when it went down. It was our first case together. How old was he? Your brother. He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You mean the king of prosecutors? I knew it. What are you looking at me like that for? It's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place wasn't the same day as... That's right. The day of the evidence transfer. Interesting. It was drizzling that morning. By nightfall, there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years have gone by already. Tried to steal the evidence so the case wouldn't die. Apparently someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There's something going on behind the scenes in that case. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in that investigation, save one, was taken care of. Mrs. Starr was fired and I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commissioners would get suspicious. No, they were careful enough to not be too obvious. They? Who are you talking about? Don't get upset, Bambina. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Skye. The investigation lead, Gant, and his second-in-command, Skye. There wasn't a person on the force who hadn't heard of that duo. That case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah. Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Skye was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too. Tell me, what happened to my sister? Sorry, Bambita, but your secret is too well guarded. I never found out. Londa's secret. It all started 2 years ago. So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. There's one thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edgeworth isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get a guilty verdict. Someone else was the one that gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't be a patrolman after today. That was aggressive. Too bad I won't be around to work with you. When you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambina. Now do we go back? This place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted. That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes. Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Oh, he actually talked to us. The chief prosecutor's saying what she did and the decision about what to do about Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention her statement to the media in tomorrow's trial. Juan Sebastian, how you doing? Showing some love and hanging out with my unicorn. Well, you enjoy. You enjoy that, Juan Sebastian. Have yourself a ball. I think festive is the word they usually use. Sir, we'd like to have a look around Chief Gant's office. Speedy right now, he's just having a little bit of supper. He'll probably be by for a visit when he's done. Just use the connecting hallway to the other building and take the elevator to the top floor. It's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything. Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Gumshoe gets his unique charm. What are we waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Okay, Necklord. You have an organ? Like, get out of here. Like, could you be Alucard any harder, Gant? I know I just said Necklord, but you know, like... Tomato, tomato, they're Konami vampires. In the chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said on the door. Check out that pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? It's real and it's spectacular. They used to call me Little Miss Bach. Thought I was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. Never could remember where C was. Hmm? Ah! Where'd you come from? Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Righto, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kinda busy lately. Yeah, no worries, Cloud. Hope you're feeling alright. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full, too. Mr. Marshall's misconduct and Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean about the forged evidence? 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that big picture on the wall over there? I do. It's a picture of Lana, Neil, and me, and that's my suit of armor to the left of Lana. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something's not right with this picture. Can't quite seem to put my finger on it, though. Do you mean that vase that's there? That we have most of? You mean that? That is a little fishy. Why is it when he doesn't say anything, it's like absolutely terrifying? Anyway, I like to reminisce all day, but there are matters that need my attention. I'm gonna lock up here, so let's go out together. Oh, but this office. was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long since been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. Feeling alright, thanks. Good, good. I'm doing alright, I'm just tired today. I was saying a minute ago how I totally could have just went to sleep instead, but... now we're finishing Phoenix Wright tonight. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. What's with his eyes? Like, he's got, like, double... like, he doesn't have pupils, per se. Like, it's just 2 rings of green. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend. Looks like we aren't welcome. Seems that case isn't over with yet after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That must mean there's a reason he doesn't want us looking around in here. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way we can get inside the chief's office. What if we just go back? Sometimes you're so still, I think it's lagging. That was probably both. Hey, pal. Gumshoe, aren't you supposed to be in a meeting? I'm just taking a breather. My feet hurt. Then sit down, take a load off. From sitting so long? Actually, from serving everyone coffee. Sounds like Detective Gumshoe's still out of the loop. I don't trust, yeah, Gant as far as his pupils dilate. I hear you there. Edgeworth, no. Why do you ask? He's under fire from both the PD and the PO. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. It's because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Edgeworth has the whole world after his blood. Yikes. Why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Lana Skye is the guilty party here, is she not? Can I watch Phil Swift from Flex Tape? Has a mental breakdown after the stream. Remind me. Regardless, the prosecutor is responsible for the evidence they present in court. Not only that, but as you know, there've been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. His amazing talent as a prosecutor has kept him safe from those that don't like him. Hey, if you want to add me as an enemy in a game, Red Fox, go for it. There are really so many people who hate him. In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. Mr. Edgeworth not only has that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know of for making enemies. Hey, Dick, keep up the good work. Yes, sir. Let's go out for lunch again sometime, my treat. Yes, sir. You gotta take me back to the joint sometime, okay, Dick? Yes, sir. Seems you don't have any problem with enemies. Yeah, well, careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure. I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier, while the coffee was brewing. Jonathan, what's going on? Seems genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Dark left behind was during his final attack. His Big Bang attack? You mean, when he killed Prosecutor Marshall who was trying to protect some girl? Me. Seems Gumshoe never realized Emma was that girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of them all. Well, what was it? What the hell is... Speedy, what the hell are you doing? You have fun over there, buddy. Hi. Speedy with the Wanderlust. Oh, let's see. I think it had something to do with the murder weapon. Oh, I forget. Look, it's all written somewhere in here, okay? His powers of recollection never fail to impress. Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. Might jog his memory. Shaved today. Look so young, worried about this school year, and yes, I applied for the gas station. Well, I hope you get the job, Jonathan. It'll be good for you. Speedy's, like, climbing up my inversion table. I'm curious to see where he's gonna go. You having fun over there, buddy? Having a nice sneeze on my inversion table. What made him take the serial killing? One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. And he liked it. So it was an accident? Yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? He killed a man that witnessed the accident. Then he killed a lady who saw the second crime. A kid walked by just then, so he killed him too. Then while he was burying the bodies, a jogger came up in the scene and was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he is a pretty careless animal. Laertes. Cats can fall upside down and end up on their feet, no? I mean, sometimes. They're supposed to lay on their feet, but Speedy's actually pretty clumsy. He doesn't always land on his feet. It's the clumsiest cat I've ever seen. There wasn't a single shred of evidence, so he turned himself in. Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. The crime was witnessed by someone too, but luckily Dark was arrested on the spot. Good thing that last witness wasn't killed. Yeah, agreed. I don't know. This. About that jar. I think I've seen it before somewhere. Somewhere. Maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. Brickman, what's happening? Just finished watching a movie with your best friend? What movie did you watch? Something about it makes me feel uneasy. Hey, Eslo, what's going on? How have you been? It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gant? Where could I have seen that before? Here, you mean? Because it's right there. I don't know if I can really show Gumshoe anything else yet. So I'm gonna... Let's move. Was probably supposed to come here first. It's almost 10. Bye, guys. Alright, Red Fox. Have yourself a good sleep. Thanks for stopping in. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. Kara no Kyokai, the Garden of Sinners. Okay, we just watched the 6th one. Just 3 left. Is it an anime? Just relaxing. Okay, and finishing Skyward Sword HD and then rating. Right on, right on. Rating in what, specifically? Final Fantasy 14. Wow, what are you rating in? No one was murdered in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in our case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Gotta find all the answers by tomorrow. Hey, Edgeworth. Anime movie. Okay, gotcha. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's being questioned by an inquiry committee. Took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. Guess we'll just have to come back later. I mean, we've been just about everywhere else. I don't know. I'm an attorney. Show me this every time, yeah. Just doing this in case I needed to trigger a gumshoe. Oh yeah, what about that screwdriver? Nothing about that screwdriver. Carrying the bloodstain in the evidence locker with his life. It's more than you can say about most officers nowadays. Would have saved us a lot of trouble if he hadn't guarded it so well. I have to admit he's right, though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we were able to prove another possibility today. Possibility that another murder took place prior to 5:15. Oh yeah, the classical see my badge, I'm an attorney. Tried, tested, and true. Wonder if Gumshoe wore a trench coat in high school too, probably. He's the type of guy. Oh, was that actually it? It was? Okay. This knife. It was Joe Dark's, wasn't it? We traced it back to the store he bought it at, plus it had his fingerprints on it, too. But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right? That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at the knife, you'll see it's broken. You don't have to take a good look to notice that. Yeah, well, anyway. Guess where the broken off tip of the knife was found? That's what did him in. Where was it? The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it. In his heart! It was found deep inside the stab wound. Did it match Dark's knife? You bet. Down to the last fiber. That's pretty conclusive. Stabbed in the back. Died from a punctured heart and lung. Yeah, that'll do it. Knife tip was in the wound. I mean, I guess I was right. Well, there you have it in a nutshell. That's all I know. Can I ask you one more thing? What? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant. It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. Oh, Speedy, are you... Christ, buddy, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hear a loud bang in a second. That was Speedy. That was Speedy getting off my inversion table. He didn't seem to hurt himself, thankfully. We'd like to have a look around if that's okay. Yeah. I just made a boat out of flex tape. Well, any detective's ID card can unlock the door. Really? But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust. Breach of trust? Well, it's a good thing I have an ID card. Simply put, I'd be canned. Oh. Sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Goodman's. That won't work either. Oh. The data was deleted the day he died. Speedy's a cat, but he's a careful cat. I mean, sometimes he's careful. So in other words, Gumshoe's our only chance of getting into that office. What if there's something we could show him that would make him change his mind? I don't know this. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me, yeah. Died from blood loss, another 10 minutes. Weapon found and wound was missing too. I don't know if there's anything I can... Can I still not show you the screwdriver? Yeah. What about this? Hey, I just bought some of that stuff. Now I can go around detecting blood traces too. Wow, is that a new type? I've never seen that bottle before. Add 3 inches to your base height. Base height? Let me see that. Looming tall. New and improved growth formula. You mean this can't detect any blood traces? Ah, well, it's not quite the same thing as luminol. That's why the lady at the counter had that smirk on her face. Yep. There's only one number left to investigate at 420. Victim Goodman must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. 777777777. That's one too many sevens again. That's 1 7 too many, Detective. An executive officer, Oh, this is like way more. Can't figure this out today. Why is this so, like, in the way? That's better. Yeah, I have a hunch too. Run! Oh. Achoo. If it's any help, one time I took a nap on a bench with wet paint. Why am I not comforted? Okay, maybe I just have to go somewhere else now. We're back to Worthy's place. I wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. Can't wait for autumn and winter. Not a fan of the heat, Jonathan. What are you doing here? Sure was quick to throw that paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? Huh. Had to live the past 2 years with rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what do you want? Unlike some people, I don't have all day. I'm gonna examine that paper. Wonder what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is right here. Just distract him. We'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumshoe at the window there? Oh no, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let's see what this girl's doing crawling around my feet. He didn't even look. What? Letter of... If you're having trouble reading, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean. I'm tired, right? Feel as if something inside me has died. But Edgeworth, none of it's your fault. Not really. Love the cold. Okay. Feels nice. But I get cold easily. Okay. So 50-50. The path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. No one else should forgive me either. I think he's serious. Please, you have to do something, Mr. Wright. Letter of resignation. I wonder if I can use it for anything. I guess so. What if we check it out? Due to recent events, I hereby announce my resignation as a public prosecutor. You really wrote a resignation letter. Wow, even when resigning, Mr. Edgeworth is cool and concise. Still, it wasn't his fault. Someone has to be held responsible. That's how it is in the grown-up world. Yeah, but that responsibility means nothing if he just quits. Not everyone sees it that way. To truly take responsibility, you should have to work the rest of your life for no pay. What? It's one tough grown-up world there. No excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can do can erase that fact. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, that evidence was falsified. The PD and the PO share a bond of trust. I don't know what an SPJC is. If that bond is broken, we stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. The fact remains the same, no matter what excuses I might have. I take pride in my work. So tell me, why has it all come to this? Even Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Spicy dark roast pork on a grill. I still don't know what that is. Like, how is that a challenge? Eating pork. Like, grilling pork. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, now this one. Seems all you do is worry about me. I'm worried about you when you have that I'm enjoying the smell of my own farts look, Edgeworth. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. But Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out on trial. Tomorrow's the last day, it's too late to change prosecutors. But that's what my superiors are banking on. Never thought that case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists, that is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but I knew what I had to do. Use the evidence I was given to prove the suspect guilty. That was really the only thing on my mind at the time. Say we just saw a picture taken around that time. Can you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Goodman was murdered? It's not really a challenge, it's just for fun. What, to just make really good roast pork? Never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this? Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out in the ceremony. Finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over to the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes, just odds and ends, clerical stuff. I didn't know Edgeworth was a cleric. I didn't plan on returning the office that day. Hi, Speedy. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back. This. Oh yeah, Chief Gant asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yeah, it was a piece of evidence in that case that was closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it to the prosecutor's office. That's a story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? Yep. So this picture, tell me about it. That's not a picture. This picture was hanging on the wall in Gant's office. I can't put my finger on it, but something about the vase that's in it is fishy. Prosecutor Neil Marshall, he had just started making a name for himself. Looks like this was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy Mr. Marshall's holding. Yeah, it has a sword and yours doesn't. It's a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That's what the official prosecutor's trophy looked like until 2 years ago. Getting surgery on August 13th? Well, good lord, I hope you get through that okay. Take care of yourself. Do you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. Contradiction. That's what the award's based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with 2 characters. First means halberd, and second means shield. Have you heard this story? Me? Sure, everyone knows that. Why don't you tell it, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. Laser leg surgery. You're gonna have laser... I'm jealous. Long ago in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with 2 items. First was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. Second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Yeah, objection. Those claims contradict each other. Very perceptive. Then again, you've heard the story before, right? Anyway, as you mentioned, the very description of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless. And thus the Chinese word for contradiction was born. Way to go, merchant, weapon merchant. I see, so the chipped shield and broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words. But it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion. Even if it results in something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. I learned something new today. Superstar, do you want to go to England? I don't particularly... Like, England isn't like a bucket list trip for me, but if I could... How do I even put it? Not easily get there, but like... If the opportunity presented itself, sure, but like I'm not gonna go out of my way to go to England. I'd rather go like halfway across Canada before I hop over the pond. I'm gonna fix my bones with the laser. Oh, so I can have them as the same size as the... Oh, okay. Well, I hope it works out just fine. You're happy and healthy after the surgery. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief can't. We can probably move out of here. Let's get out of here. Excuse me. Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Yeah. Miss Starr. Certainly are the curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a... What? A cow's nipple to discover milk. Okay. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day of the evidence. From that case was due for transferal. This can't be all attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know, that little scene I happened to witness? The instant Lana stabbed Goodman with a knife? No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. All dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark. That's a name I'll not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. Still, I don't think I was ever more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall. Must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more... Her? Lana. My sister? Best of the best were put on that SL9 case. Of course they are led by that legendary duo. Speedy, what are you going through, buddy? That legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigations. I could make a comment on a legendary pair right now, but I won't. That's why we were so shocked over how it turned out. You mean with the foraging of the evidence? Don't get me wrong. Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear, while other items were kept secret. But you don't have proof anything illegal was done. I'm proof enough of what happened. After that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties. Most of which without even so much as an explanation. Then Lana Skye transferred to the prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor. Nothing quite as simple as it appears. Lana Skye was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take of the matter. Used? Gant and Skye. Gant led the investigation with Lana second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Gant's magnetism in particular was almost unreal. His magnetism. Yeah, like his metal sticks to him. I mean his ability to attract evidence. Oh. Produced the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled. I mean, as far as I'm aware, like, any surgery is painful. Oh yes, there were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though. Take it she's talking about forged evidence. Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All the detectives wanted to be like her. Oh yes, myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated anything crooked, and always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever recovered from his shock. That's what makes it all the more infuriating. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why'd she have to turn so cold after that? Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, right? Yeah, thanks to Chief Gant's powerful Yeah. Chief. That's right, having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief is secured. There's only one thing left for him to control. Then no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office. What? That's why Lana was transferred? If you control the chief prosecutor, you can control the prosecutor's office. How could he control Lana? I don't know, but one thing's for sure. Ever since that case ended, she's never been the same. It's only logical to conclude. There must have been a reason for her change. At last. I'm finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Stark. I mean, we've all been there. You listen to me, rookie. It takes more than just ingredients to create fine cuisine. Hope you turn out to be better chef than I've been. Present. Don't have anything else to tell you. The only thing I can give you now is a poppy seed rice set. Eat this and maybe you'll be able to tell black from white in court tomorrow. Okay. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I gotta make 150 copies of these files. I'm scared, but... about the surgery? I don't blame you, but, like... You'll be fine. It won't be pleasant for a few days, but it's for your own good. Turning into a regular DJ. A disc jockey? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh. Oh, that DJ. I gotta admire your persistency. Is that even a word? Like, if I were to use that in Scrabble, would you challenge me? But my answer's still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. Be my neck on the line. That office is the last crime scene, the SL9 incident. I have to take a look there. Gotta be something we can do to make the detective change his mind. No way. Edgeworth can't be serious. Is he ever not serious? Can't believe they pushed him this far. I thought he was cold as ice, too. When's the best time I can hire you, Harv? Tomorrow at 11. No. Why not, Douglas? But we betrayed him. Detective. That's it. I've made up my mind. Here, take my ID card. We can't do that if someone found out. They wouldn't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. Don't say look at me while you're not looking at someone back. It's no secret I'm already out of the loop. After all, I'm friends with Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. So at least let me do this for Mr. Edgeworth's sake. I get after your surgery, you're probably gonna, you know, be out recovering for a bit, but as soon as you're feeling better, I just would like to hear that you're okay. Alright, Detective, thank you. You can say that again, Kodo. I couldn't have put it better myself. Let's play Gant's organ really loudly. Here goes, Mr. Wright. We're in. If anyone finds us now, Gumshoe's a goner. If that happens, I'm counting on you to bail me out. Ah! Gah! Already terrifying each other. Yeah, I remember, Joe. Like, I imagine you will still be sad. It's never a good thing when you lose a family member. But I mean, eventually you'll get over it as much as you'll ever get over it. Never saying that you'll ever completely get over it. But. Detective Gumshoe, what are you doing sneaking up on us like that? Oh, you wouldn't challenge the word. Gotcha, Douglas. Persistency. Persistency pays off. Be a good lawyer, yeah. That's why I'm hiring him. Oh, thanks. So I came too. If you're here, then what's the point of giving us your ID card? Gumshoe's ID crushed and rendered unusable in pocket. How much can I hire you, Harv? Yes. Don't do that to my card. Hardly ever get a chance to come in here, so I figured I'd have a look around myself. Besides, we're all in this together now. You really do want to get fired, don't you? Not if we're lucky, you know. Come on, let's see what we can find out. Got a bad feeling about this. Desk on the other side of the room, was that your sister's? Yep, that's where I was waiting for Lana, on that day 2 years ago. Is anyone using it now? Nope, it was entirely Chief Gant's office now. Practices a strict policy of preserving the crime scene. That's a strange reason to leave it there. He leaves it as a warning to everyone else. He wants us to be alert. He told us so himself at her New Year's party. Of course, he was pretty intoxicated at the time. Ever since Lana left, no one ever touches that desk. No one except Chief Gant, and the cleaning lady who's here each morning. Still, 2 years have passed since that incident. Can't possibly be any clues remaining. Well, if he preserves the crime scene. You only came here to look around, right? Because it's one of the SL9 crime scenes. I mean, that's your only reason for coming here, isn't it? Why do you ask? You don't think... Nah, you wouldn't be... No. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now then, let's look around a bit more. Hey, hold on. Not so fast, buddy. What is it? When someone tells you don't worry about it, it's supposed to start bothering you, pal. You don't just let it go with that. He is right. Sorry. This guy's starting to get on my nerves. Okay, so what's bothering you? You two don't think Chief Gant might be a suspect? He's right, Mr. Wright. What do we think of him? Chief Gant? It's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There you go, ignoring me again. This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. Looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. Is it 77777777? Like one too many sevens? A 7-digit number. I think I might just know what it is. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Yeah, me too. Oh, I know. You want to try my birth date? It's... What is your birth date? Genius. Bingo. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? I'd love to know whose birthday that is. From the future. 7's, the final ID number on that record. Number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 777777? He was short of 7 that time. I think you're 1 7 shy this time. Am I Mr. Dan? Yes. This can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's hidden number. Say, anyone care to look inside? I mean, we did just crack the safe open, so... Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? It's, Oh, that's the... Why is that in the safe? A shard from a broken cup. Somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? Something else in here, too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. It's a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. Think Chief made up the design? I don't think so. Well, it was just a thought. Is it? Is that all that was in the safe? Guess so, it's empty now. Piece of cloth with a handprint on it. And a broken shard from a cup. They look like pieces of evidence. Yeah, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here, pal. Great. I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we can show the detective. You mean... You mean this? Gumshoe. Do you have another look at this jar? Remember when the three of us put that back together? Those were the days. Kinda early to be nostalgic. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? Yeah, one of the shards had SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yeah, that one. That was in the safe. Now that you mention it, it is ringing lots of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. I can piece this together again. It'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Harvey Daniel. Yeah. You're wasting time. You're wasting here on YouTube. You should be a superhero lawyer DLC. You're right, I should be a DLC. I love how it even makes me combine it. There, it fits like a charm. That, of course, means... Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. Hey guys, get a load of this. That piece you just attached, it's different from the others. There's a reddish line on it. Reddish line. That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? That's a good question. Look at the size of Gant's desk. Speaking of that, when we were here earlier. Oh, it's you two. Oh yeah, that paper. Wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence. In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this, though. Huh? SL9 incident. Wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, detective. What'd you just say? I said I wonder what... No, about the evidence lists. Normally they're twice as long. Yeah, I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. Half-size list of evidence. List of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it. The chief must be hiding something about that case. It would appear so. Let's check it out. Excuse me? Excuse the hell out of me? Wonder what this is. Someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? Can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Ah, no, it's nothing. Why are your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright? Better not forget about this picture. Don't worry, I will. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons. Sure is, pal. Chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor. You know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? You mean we're paying for this? That's it, I'm not paying 1 cent of my taxes. You don't have any taxes to pay. Careful what you say. Who knows? Chief might be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out, you don't know how scary that guy can be. I have some idea. You can see pretty far from 15 stories up. If you were to drop that suit of armor from here. First the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. Why didn't he? You say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. Chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Do I even have to make the joke? I have an idea. Let's take this out of context. So the chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Well, yeah, but what about that piano that's behind you? What do you think about that? Occasionally we hear him playing with his organ from the criminal affairs department. It's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th floor. An entirely different building. When the detective screws up, the chief calls them to his office. Makes them listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except the ringing in their ears. So it's an instrument of punishment, literally. Rusty, how you doing? Aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone anyway. Just taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Dark ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. Smug look on his face, yeah, when he says it too. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here. It went along with Chief Gant to question Dark. I bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. You think? These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. Small picture frame on the left shelf. This was when Lana and I went to that theme park. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. I mean, maybe a little bit. Good, hope you are as well, Mr. Hart. I can't complain too much. Like, I was saying earlier, like, I was tired today, but We have some Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney to finale. This is the 15th floor. I know, I was just saying. Saying what? I don't know why that reminded me, but like... So I checked out the deals that was on the PlayStation Store because like the summer sale. I was really close to buying Dragon Ball FighterZ Z because it was 85% off. But I opted not to because I don't know if I really... Like, I would probably play it for like a stream and then be like, okay, I'm bored now. I did, however, get Ni no Kuni 2 for 85% off. Which I think was a better purchase. I don't know when I'll play it, but eventually. I've had people ask me about Ni no Kuni before. And I think, like, I haven't seen much gameplay of it, but I'm under the impression I would like it if I were to play it. So for 12 Canadian dollars, yeah, sure. I'll grab it. Ever since making Detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. As long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that. Okay, I hope he does crash through the window then. Emma. This is Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. Not any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They're the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her, or in memory of the crime? Yes. The answer is yes. Okay, well what... Oh, right, I definitely need the luminol in here. Like, for sure. How much blood is on Chief Gant's organ? No blood on his organ? That's good. Whoa, this area must have been covered in blood. Is this from that incident? Must be. When Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years have passed, so the reaction's kinda dull. So murder really did take place here. Well, you didn't think that was the case? Yeah, 12 Canadian, so like... Yeah, like 89 cents US. Any blood on your organ? Any at all? No? Probably for the best. Oh, do I still have to show Gumshoe something regarding that cloth? Because, I don't know, handprint? No, Officer Marshall? Of course I do, he's like a mentor to me. When I first started out, he even gave me a small cactus. Really? He said, Dick. She'll listen to all your troubles. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe talks to a cactus. Hard to believe he's just a patrolman now. Someone ought to trade places with him. Why are you looking at me like that? I'd like you to have a look at this. You want to take some fingerprints? It's a great idea, Detective. Right, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking your hand out like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. You a big fan of horror films or nah? I'm not a big fan of them, but like, I'll watch a horror flick. One with the handprint on it, huh? Where's your sense of humor? Okay, Mr. Wright, let's check for prints. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth. Then once they've been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't need to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. I mean, that's a fingerprint. Never saw one. Wow, it actually doesn't seem to be Gant's fingerprint. Whose fingerprint is it? Emma, excuse me? Excuse me, Emma? I want answers. Wouldn't that be a swerve if it was Emma was the murderer the whole time? How can this be? What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? Seems the prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. Thought they'd be Dark's prints. Psst, hey you, over here. What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? Was it a lightning cactus? I hope so. It's the best kind of cactus. Don't ask me. Just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Well, was that any help? Of course. Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? Chief Gant! We were only in here for 15 minutes. Go figure he'd come back to his office. We didn't think he'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. You mean me, sir? Now then. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. I'm just going to close this safe. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID card on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out. Yes, sir. We'll be on our way too, then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. Me, sir? I'd like a word with you. But, sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair. You're free to go. Mr. Wright. Look, pal. If I told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sneaking in there like that, didn't you? Thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew if it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. Why has she kept eerily silent about it all this time? You listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the Chief. Later, pal. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. I see, so the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. No use thinking about it, tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple of days is absolutely nothing. Not a thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. No, I think I finally figured it out. I know who it is that's lurking behind your words. Me did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. Seems Edgeworth was right. Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. I have to admit I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, whom, may I ask, is this person you're speaking of? The one I am supposedly so frightened of? What is that person's name? I mean, it's either Gant or his sister. Person whom you fear is this. To be honest, there's someone a bit scarier. Who would that be? Why, you, of course. Me? Yes. You seriously believe what you're saying, don't you? Now that's scary. Seem to have the makings of a criminal in you, what with all your fallacious accusations. Care to spend a night in the cell next to mine? Co-ed jail cell? Well, then yeah. Mr. Wright, you're addressing the Chief Prosecutor. Do not forget your place. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about what you think you know? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he's respectable, then tell me something. Why would you try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically hiding and forging evidence. Of course these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party could have possibly tampered with the evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but one other. Mr. Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Gant falsified evidence in that case. I don't know, the vase? I just found this in a safe in the Chief's office. This jar piece, and this piece of cloth. You know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence is none other than Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. As you surmised, I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come on, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate. In the murder of Goodman? Perhaps I should say follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. Was it me? I plead the fifth. Although I can't tell you the details. I can say I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected, despite what everyone believes. You are not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. But you can't take the car out of the body, I don't know. The trunk's lock was broken, and I discovered the murder weapon while inspecting the body. You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. Joe Dark's knife? This couldn't leave that knife in him. So I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's interesting, because they said he was only stabbed once. So she made good and certain to get in the right spot. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. That's the reason for the bandage on your hand? Yep. Seems I got blood on the victim's shoes, too. And then... she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Star, huh? Oh, so she did actually see her stab him, but he was dead already. Why do you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? Took a lot of work to finally close the Dark case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So you hid Dark's knife. The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Dark case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have had a field day with that. So you wrapped the knife in your scarf and you hid it. An Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister. To tell her what happened and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone to force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident. About Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling. The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, first thing I did was make a phone call. To Jake Marshall. Why would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, thought I could trust. Anyway, it seems after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade on his own. Oh, you mean not wanting the case to die? He decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Detective Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. He had already stolen the ID card. It seemed he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room? Yeah. Afraid that's all I can tell you. You've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now, please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. Got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodman's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. To be continued. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, now that we're between cases, or whatever, I'm gonna take this opportunity to go to the bathroom, make myself a toast and cheese sandwich, pour myself some caffeine-free Coke, and then I'll be right back. So give me like, I don't know, 5 minutes. I'm covering the camera because I'm wearing loose-fitting underwear. And I don't want you to see my junk, because you're not paying me enough to see my junk. What do they do with my bread? I have a whole thing of bread. Where is it? Bread. Bread. There it is. No Canadian bacon? Aw, oh, come on, bro. This is an OnlyFans or Twitch. This is true. Why? I mean, I could probably show the cat right here. See, there's a cat. Hey, cat. Speedy the cat. So I had an entire shepherd's pie today. Like, I didn't have, like, a little one. It was actually, like, a pretty good-sized one, and I devoured it. Worked up an appetite today. You'd crack 10 easy if you showed some dong. Well, I need to do, like, a 13-hour stream then, so all the exposed dong won't be kept on YouTube. That's the trick. If you want to do sketchy stuff on YouTube, you do a 12-hour plus live stream. Then all the incriminating evidence is just gone. I mean, unless someone records what you're doing, but otherwise, no proof. Like, I'm kind of surprised that's not a thing on YouTube. Maybe it is, but I'm kind of surprised it's not. Didn't get to see any junk, but got to see a pussy. Cat. I mean, you gotta take your wins when you can get them, right, Rusty? Trying to reach Lana all morning. Where should we be? And Emma, for that matter. It's almost as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Ah, clip it. Clip it real good. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of 7 is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday, because there's still room for doubt regarding its ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. I almost never call cats by that. Not unless I'm trying to be lewd or something, me neither. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. Yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right, and Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. First time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in there, right? This is it. I'm never gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her. It's now. I really do need to fashion a speedy cam. If I give you somewhere easy to just speedy cam. He's laying on the bed all cute. Being all cute. Aren't you, buddy? Look at you. Being all adorable. Hey, Fade, how you doing? Objection. I don't actually have an objection. Overruled. I might have just actually read what Rusty wrote and didn't realize it, but... How you holding up, Fade? Defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution's ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Sustained. How'd you fade in like that? Fade. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Aji. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. How old's Speedy? He's... Good question. I'm only guessing, but I don't think he was a year old when I found him, so I'm inclined to think... Christ, are you pushing senior, Speedy? He's not there yet, but like... I've had him for at least 5 years. So he's 5 or 6. Aren't you, buddy? Because aren't cats technically seniors once they hit 7? Is that even right? I'm under the impression that's right. Oh, holding up good. Like the hat and glasses. Next step is fishing rod. I actually went on a golfing excursion a couple weeks ago. And I had been wearing my golf shirt too, which is a bit of a showy shirt. But today I just didn't feel like wearing it. But having this ring light here, I figure having the sunglasses on to protect my eyes from this light shining in my face might not be the worst idea. And just, you know, wear this hat for, you know, just different, just for a change of scenery. Yeah, Speedy arriba. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? You know what? When you haven't had regular Coca-Cola for like a month and a half and you have the caffeine-free stuff, it's not so bad. It definitely doesn't taste like regular... I want caffeine-free Coke that's not made with aspartame. Is that... like, am I asking too much? Like, I want sugar, but no caffeine. I'm probably the only one? Oh, looking forward to fishing streams. Well, I'd have to get, like, a blue punk rock hairstyle and then, like, fish Breath of Fire style. If I were to ever do a fishing stream. Specifically have... like, I imagine the Breath of Fire 2 fishing stream music. But, I mean, 3 would also work. Well, 2 would work better, because then, like, the music's not dynamic. It stays the same unless you catch a fish. 3, it changes if you're catching stuff. It's too many moving parts. Yeah, we call them mature. It depends on the breed. Some cat breeds tend to live longer. You're gonna live a while, aren't you, sweetie? You're not even halfway there yet, are you? In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. I should have definitely paid way more attention to any of this. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be done. Well, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21 of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Breath of Fire 6 had a decent fishing minigame, if you believe it exists. I don't know what I have a harder time believing, that Breath of Fire 6 exists, or that its fishing minigame was actually, like, pretty good. I guess they had to make up for Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter having no fishing. Which makes sense, being like an underwater, you know, you don't really have time to waste kind of game. more of a serious tone. Probably the taste would be different. Yeah, well, that solves the case. You find the defendant guilty. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Not played this before, but that sounded pretty guilty to me. These games are like so dramatic, and there's a lot of stuff that would not fly in a court of law, but they do just for the drama of it. Because in some of the cases we've had already, the defendant's like, no, it was me. But it wasn't. They're doing more of that. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant all day. Oh, Edgeworth. Edgy. One moment. Excuse me. One moment, Your Honor. Edgeworth? Prosecution has not yet proven that the defendant is guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come on now, Worthy. Where'd Lana go? I understand this is a difficult time for you. Why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Take that. Take that! The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy? You'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Oh yeah, just threaten me in a courtroom, no big deal. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins, the bull by the horns. There's a few different sayings. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. All of a sudden, in this case, people are actually telling Edgeworth their name. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. Trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. How you doing there now, Juan Sebastian? Well, okay then. You sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. Tip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. 2 years ago. Waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. I thought he got stabbed in the back. He was punctured through the back with in the lungs and heart. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does that testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That'll soon become apparent, Your Honor. You got to admire him for his courage. You got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Hold it. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes, she was second in command under then Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister. She's the best detective ever. I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk. And dream about playing that organ. This is incredibly relevant. Has to argue a hot minute to get the smallest allowance, Edgeworth. This is relevant, yeah. Judge just agrees. Oh, the judge in this game is like a wrestling referee. Where, like, they always see anything that the good guys do, but the bad guys, they'll kick you in the nuts with a steel toe boot, and the ref's just like, I don't know. Nothing happened. KFC Jesus. How you doing? Thanks for playing my favorite game, dude. Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. Got the whole trilogy collection on PS4. Which I'll work through over time. Bet you that drawing was done by her. Oh, maybe. A man. Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. Those Fruit Loops never stood a chance. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an... There's gotta be a funnier cereal I could have brought up. Like I mean, Fruit Loops is okay, but... Maybe Cinnamon Toast Crunch isn't funny, it just has more syllables. I don't know. Apple Jacks. There's gotta be something better than Fruit Loops I could have used for the serial killer joke. Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. Must have been a panic because the elevator was going up. I almost talked like I was from Ontario there for a second. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office. That was one thing I noticed when I lived in Ontario. Like, mostly we all talk the same, but I find Ontarians pronounce their A's in a very specific way. Magic Spoon? I've never had Magic Spoon. There's a lot of noise coming from outside, so I open up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Like from Powerpuff Girls. What am I drinking? This is caffeine-free cola. Because I'm off the caffeine. But I've really been jonesing for cola and coffee. Some new healthy cereal. I've heard ads about it, but I haven't looked into it at all. But yeah, maybe that would have been a better reference. That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Marshall just had received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was first to run after Dark. How's the caffeine withdrawals? After 6 weeks, they're better. But, like, I was saying at the start of the stream, like, I could have 100%, instead of streaming, I could have 100% just went to bed. Like, no problem. But I was like, no, I'm gonna stream. it's like once I got through like the worst, the first couple of weeks were pretty rough, just like energy level wise. But now I find that I'll operate on a lower energy level, but I find I don't like just pass out the same, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't nap as much, but when it's time for bed, it's time for bed. But like, I've come this far, I'm trying to just keep it going now. Because I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos about giving up caffeine. I heard some people be like, you need to give it 3 months, 6 months. So I figure, well, I've gone this far, so maybe if I keep it up, I'll notice even more of an improvement in my energy levels. I'm probably sleeping better too. Like the sleep I get, like I'm not stimulated from the caffeine. But like, good lord, if you can survive, if you have a lifestyle where you can survive without caffeine for a month, I recommend trying it. That's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then. But like, I love the taste of coffee, I love the taste of cola. And I wasn't sure what I was gonna do about like my liquor, because rum and coke's my drink. Spiced rum and coke. But I found out that spiced rum and 7-Up actually isn't a bad mix. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark just then. Oh, you rarely drink caffeine. Oh, good on you then. Well, like, I was drinking energy drinks like every day for a while, and then I weaned off those. And then I figure, well, I may as well just go all the way with it. It's just about this time of year. Oh yeah, save for special occasions. Well, yeah, like, if I can get to the point, like, I want to go cold turkey off it for a while, but if I can get to the point where it's like, okay, I'll just have one, like, I think what I'll do is on my birthday, I'm gonna have, like, either a cup of coffee or just, like, a regular thing of cola. I should just get a nice coffee. But maybe I could just do decaf coffee and that would be fine. Like, I know there's a little bit of caffeine in decaf coffee, but I don't think it's enough that, like, whatever. So if I chug a Monster, oh, it's like an overdose, yeah, super stimulation. Oh yeah, I'm expecting, like, whenever I do just have a cup of coffee, I'm gonna have, like, kaleidoscope vision. I'll be, like, full-blown acid trip just from a cup of coffee. So the electricity went out? Wait a minute. Because I've been drinking caffeine since I was, like, 10. Like, I loved Coca-Cola. My brother used to drink it all the time, so, like, it was just always kind of in the house, and I drank it because it was in the house. Then when I got older, I discovered the joy of coffee. Then my lifestyle was like, oh, well, energy drinks are a thing, and, you know, like that and like that. Over the past year, I've just been cutting things out, seeing how I do. I like to do that every so often. Just cut stuff out of my regiment, see how it affects me. The one thing that I didn't expect when I gave up caffeine was, like, in my regular day-to-day, I have, like, more of a, I don't know, a genuine curiosity. I don't know how else to put it, like I'll small talk with someone and not think anything of it, where normally I would do, like, anything to avoid small talk. Now I'm just like, oh, well, yeah, how's the wife and kids? Yeah, you know. It's a side effect I didn't expect, but, like, I'm fine with it. Speedy, I'm trying to tell a story over here, and you're interrupting me. I don't know if you can hear him. But yeah, if I had an energy drink now, I think my heart would explode. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He's in charge of the case. Drink 1 NOS and a large Dr. Pepper in a day. I feel not guilty. Maybe guilty adjacent. I used to drink NOS. I was an energy drink connoisseur for a while. Used to drink NOS. I mean, I'll have a Dr. Pepper every so often, or I would. But I'm mostly staying away from the dark pops. Like, there's the odd root beer that's caffeine-free, but I'm mostly staying away from root beer because I don't trust them all. I miss iced tea, too. There's a lot of caffeinated drinks, I just like the taste of. Hear more. So you spoke with Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. You told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. Picture? I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. The list of evidence was given... Wait, but the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. Drew a picture of that scene once, but seems to have been lost. Like, wouldn't... What do you mean? Like, I must just show them that. For some reason, I can't drink Red Bull, which most people try to get me to drink, especially after... When you say you can't drink it, you mean, like, you think it tastes like gargled ass sweat, or... Or there's, like, something in it that you're actually, like, allergic to. So I guess I would show this, then. It's not really an objection, is it? Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. Oh, you break out in hot... Really? Good lord. But it's only Red Bull that does that to you. That's weird. Well, I mean, hey, just stay away from it, you're good then. I mean, if you can drink other energy drinks, and if you want to, then you're set. Makes me wonder what's in it that does that. This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Turn it... Ah, what's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Well, I'm glad I didn't analyze that one comment that was like, he got stabbed in the chest, when I'm pretty sure they said he got stabbed in the back. Through the heart and lungs, through the back. Well, one lung, he didn't... Wasn't like a curved blade or anything. Two men appear to be wrestling here. Yeah, wrestling. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists. They're... different from each other. Wait, what? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they're torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? But Miss Skye, why'd you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor, are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. The evidence list was torn in half, and there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. Possible. Let's see. I saw no such picture. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. The blue badger. Why? What? I understand why he's freaked out like that. Monster, NOS, Bang, C4, Rockstar, all energy drinks. Weird. That you can drink just fine. I've had all of, well, I don't think I've ever had Bang or C4. I've heard of Bang, though. I've never heard of C4. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. Guess he was at a scrap paper. Very well, witness. Vap 2, how you doing? Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. Flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instance. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense now begin its cross-examination. Bang and C4 are energy drinks I had. Oh, okay. Well, I worked at a gym. I feel like that'd be an alright gig, working at a gym. Depends what you did, though, I guess. I mean, if they're like, yeah, you can work out, whatever, sure. Not like, you know what I mean. Hold it. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. First, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lannisk. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. So at the time you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue. Oh, maintenance, gotcha. Really, I was more of a janitor. Gotcha. Now I could see him clearly. The lightning was so bright. And I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around. And that's when the lightning flashed. What happened after the lightning flashed? For that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No. I'm sorry. Flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. Wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. Better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary. But you already don't get paid. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, there's something that's bothering you about this picture? Actually, yes. Oh, well. That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Yeah. There for sure is. Because if we look at... not that. If we look at Neil's autopsy report... I thought he got stabbed in the back. Yeah, stabbed in the back. Died from a punctured heart and lung. That tip was in the wound. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Well, for starters, the knife is, like, already has the tip broken off. But, like... I'm trying to point at his back, but, like... Maybe I am supposed to point at the knife. Contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man's holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah, what's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right, but what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice right now. All I'm saying is this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny that possibility. No. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the evidence that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It's my story that somewhere... It's my belief that somewhere in this story is a lie. I'm not lying. The man was really holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. Hey, Gint, what's going on? Yeah, crowd murmurs in shock. Like they like to do. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances there being 2 broken knives? Another broken knife? Besides Joe Dark's? There have been one? I guess so. The witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw. It can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. Murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. You mean... the piece of the vase? That's bloody? I don't know what else it could possibly... Well, what's the deal with the screwdriver? It's not bloody, though. It's flat-tipped, however. If anything's broken here, it's you. Yeah. Was it... I gotta save it. Screwdriver, then? If it's not that and it's not the screwdriver, what in the name of God could it even be? Oh. Never mind. I have nothing else that's a weapon. That could even be hypothesized as a weapon. I mean, I could look at this. Oh. Well, I'm glad I just saved it. Oh, it's just none of the weapons that are in the record record. That's all. Not one of them. Oh, you chose the thing it came off of, but you didn't choose the picture, so you're wrong and you're dumb. I hate that shit. Like, if I chose the statue, it should have known. That's what I meant. Fucking game. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award prosecutor Marshall is holding? Yeah, the one that I tried to show, and they're like, no, you fucking dumb cunt. That's not it. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. Broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. And why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors' award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. Yeah, Phoenix wrong is right. What do you mean? The man raising a knife would have had to have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh. The prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? Seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. Witness? What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled in the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. You drew that? That's right. This wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. Must have locked this part away deep inside. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mixed up, now the blue badger. This should be interesting. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. I was here for like 3 seconds, and now I gotta go. Peace, guys. Alright, Gint. Well, thanks for stopping by. Have yourself a good one. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Well, the defense may now begin its Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further. Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back now. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. Seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark? Yeah, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. Power outage that immediately preceded the incident. It was also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then you panicked and rushed towards them both. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? I was about to stab Mr. Marshall. He seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we just theorized, Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When the dark guy knocked me down, all I could think of was I gotta help that other person. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Skye was almost killed before she was a witness to a murder to take place. About to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation's only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened? think I'm supposed to present that vase now. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew him here in the picture. Yeah, what do you mean, dark guy? But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. I know it sounds strange, but I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I remember. Oh, brother. It's when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Where in the room did you see him dancing? I wasn't in the room. I'm sure I saw his shadow. His shadow. So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. It had 3 creepy horns. It was pointless. That thing couldn't have existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. What's important is what caused her to think she saw what you did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation? If so, by all means, please tell us what the shadow really was. It was for sure that vase. Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defendant's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looks similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it the witness saw in that instant? For sure, this. No, you didn't look at the picture. Solanda's guilty. Death penalty. But that's... what is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint. Gotta show them the correct angle to look at this from. Something, something... Oh, I have to present it. Like, it would have to be that, would it not? At least it's not penalizing me for that. Seriously? Like, is it gonna be, like, real obvious? Or should I be thinking more about that bloodstain? King Baboon, how you doing? Yeah, it does look a little bit like Jack Frost. I get what you're saying. Well, like, those two things have to be, like, a huge part of it. Like, do I... Like, if it's not fucking well this... Then give me a break. Yeah. Well, he's got, like, the same colors. He's got the same color scheme. Is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be. Defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Edgeworth just having none of it. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Very well, then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw the jar? Murder weapon. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. She must be from The Simpsons because she predicted the future. I dig it. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. The body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it's these two facts that actually reveal what transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Gant's office. Are you implying the murder moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Well, we did find the blood in there. But I guess so. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? No, but yeah. Finally figured it out. This is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. The next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, I may draw your attention to this picture once more. The man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on. What would he have hit? Ah, the suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. Since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. You can't be thinking. Yes, there's another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility. Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? Events took place as the defense theorized, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually prosecutor Neil Marshall, I mean, I was kidding when I said Emma, but okay. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No. No is right. Thud, yeah. Oh, you mean it was me that murdered that guy 2 years ago? Oh, fuck. Never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So is the witness who took the victim's life. Then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? Sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're gonna have to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? I mean, I have fingerprints. Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. Afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. Certainly can't get dead people to testify. Ask Mia. This all has been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Sky. Of course. That only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person that took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased? Does such a message exist? What about the fingerprints, though? Gotta think back to the court record. Real murders. Okay, I can't move that around. Like, should this not be obvious? Died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Oh. It's gotta be the vase. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Please show us the piece of evidence. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of the jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, You can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. But notice, for some reason the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so, all we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Huh? Oh, okay. Do I... Okay. Wait. Huh? Okay. Is it really going to be like that about it? I may have, like, double screwed that up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how cruel and unusual this part is. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. No, me neither. I definitely did not remember this at all. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one that took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant. Do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in that case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Can you really call him innocent, though? I get what you're saying. Not only that, but he used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. I mean, that's not great. Dark Shadow, yeah. But Joe Dark really was... Yeah, thank you. Really was a serial murderer, that's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Agreed. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? Ew. Oh, goodness. Ew. 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. There's more? I mean, yeah, I guess we didn't solve who killed Goodman, did we? Oh, let's keep going. Oh, how deep are we into the... Almost 3 hours, not that long. This will probably wind up being as long as the rest of the streams or so. It's not like there's going to be another day after this. A little exposition, I'm sure, but... Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Well, I guess I am. I'll come back later. Yeah, a little moment of brevity from Gumshoe. Levity. I think is actually what I meant to say. You got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it all off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there's a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. They're in this 200-page document. They're really, really big rules. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? Seems so, Little Miss Murder. You could at least study some evidence law, really. Bad Eater vlogs and memes, how's it going? World of Warcraft. Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. She said if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Evidence law securely slipped in the pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though, pal. All that's left now is the Chief Prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being what's with that? That is such not an Edgeworth face. Fart-sniffing face. Mr. Edgeworth. Real trial today. Hasn't begun yet. What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged document evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she was unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more. You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him. Okay, gonna go now. Tomorrow's the big day. Alright, Jonathan. Well, thanks for stopping by. Have a good sleep. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Bring this mystery drink to an end. It's like when the teacher says you only have 2 questions for homework. Yeah, but the questions have 100 parts each. Yeah, it goes through like A through Z, and then just starts going through like Roman numerals. Just 2 questions. They're worth 80% of your total mark for the year. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, Normally, this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But... this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. Been talking, and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution. That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. What's he have to do with anything?